Austin Kuntz, a student at UNR, was hit on his bike last week.
I was riding on the right-hand side, as I usually do, and a woman just came up and totally drove right into me and knocked me over. But before that happened, I guess I flipped over the car, and then I landed on my side, and that's when I had my concussion and head trauma.
Kuntz was left bleeding on the side of the road after being involved in a hit and run off of Valley Road and Sterling Street, just east of campus.
Yeah, it was a hit and run, and thankfully I was just lying in the street bleeding, and eventually a pedestrian came up and noticed me and called 911.
Marshall Miller of the Regional Transportation Commission believes that UNR is a top priority because it is a high-risk area.
And at the top of the list, and probably the most expensive projects, save one other one that we're already taking care of, were Sierra and Virginia Street. To call it a road diet, it's more like a road conversion now, where we're actually going to take it and skinny it down to less lanes, add bike lanes, add bulb outs. What you do with that is you make it a little bit safer for pedestrians to cross, because now they don't have 4 lanes to cross. They only have what we call 2, because you've got an outside lane, a middle lane, and then another lane. But the middle lane we consider a refuge that the pedestrian can take. So once they've left the sidewalk and they've crossed the first lane of traffic, they can actually stop in that center lane, look for traffic, and then cross to the next sidewalk on the other side. Now, you have the overhead paths, but to try to get people to actually use an overhead walkway is very limited, especially with the fact that where it dumps, it goes right to the dorm. It doesn't pick you up at the sidewalk. So that makes it harder for people to want to even use that. Standard, what we tell kids, look left, right, left, make sure that, things. There was an editorial in the paper about, wearing white at night, different things like that. Smart, common sense things that need to be done by the person that are using the crosswalks still need to be done.
When students were asked whether or not there needed to be road improvements around the UNR campus, there was a variation of responses.
There's just more cars, more students here, and I always hear those sirens going, and I always assume somebody gets hit.
I guess if I were to suggest improvement, it might be with actually the stoplights themselves. It seems like the traffic flow is really inconsistent. Whenever, like how the lights will stay green even if no one is coming and the blinker isn't on. So they might want to do something about that. It's just inconvenient above all else.
I think bike lanes would be really great, because one of the reasons I think that I got messed up is that people park a lot of the time alongside the road, and that means that you have to ride in the middle of the road. Of course, in this case, I feel like I would have been hit no matter what. So as a general rule, I think motorists should probably be a little bit more respectful of bicyclists, because you're supposed to share the road, and bicyclists are people too.